Hello, everybody. This is Bill Thomas, and welcome to another episode of our Leadership Power Paradigms episodes. Uh, we are going to wait our 20 or so seconds, 20 to 30 seconds, actually, I should say, before we begin this episode of our Leadership Power Paradigms. And as we await for that event to begin, I'm going to tee up and get ready to get into it. So if you give me one quick second. Hello, everybody. Welcome to this episode of Leadership Power Paradigms. This is Bill Thomas, your host and presenter for today's episode. And in the next 14 or so minutes, we'll help you deepen your knowledge and increase your understanding of how various forms of leadership agency energizes your leadership abilities, insights, and strengths and transform your human capital into creative wealth producing powerhouses. So let us get going on this short adventure across three awesome game changing paradigms of leadership power. You see how dictionary.com defines the person, place, or thing called an agency, while the thesaurus.com describes the power in operation of an agency as being an exercise, operation, function, interaction, force, causation, or working of something like a project, event, process, communication, or strategy. To say it in brief, you use your leadership agency as a means or a way to exert your power, influence, or functionality of leading to do or perform or produce something of significance. The second power paradigm of significance concerns the true nature of biological energy. Peter Drucker applied the lessons of scientific historian Thomas Kuhn's structure of scientific revolutions and identified that our current model for technology is now based upon our understanding of the biological processes occurring within an organism or an ecological niche, and that those biologic processes are not organized around electrical, mechanical, magnetic, atomic, or other forms of physical energies, but those biological processes are information-based energies. What your typical HR-led leadership or management development course will not tell you is this: leadership and management and economics and governance and mass communications, among others, use scientific principles, and thus they are socially based technologies, and that every physical or social technology uses and operates through its own techniques, structural constructs, disciplines, and systems to achieve its desired results, whether it is to manage or publish messages or evaluate the health of an economy, so that the ecological niches that leaders like you and I operate in can be social activities. For example, this webinar that you and I are involved with at this moment of time, or a conversation with your boss or an employee, are a social activity, while these social ecological niches can be in industry like manufacturing, retail, food services, or network service providers, or an ecological niche can be a profession like the legal, medical, accountancy, or academics. And finally, social ecosystems are what we call an organization or a governmental or a real estate sales agency, a corporation, or a major sales account, or an IT project team. Along with agency, the third paradigm is used to significantly organize our social energies. It's simple, really. Your ability could be skills, processes, competencies, etc. You could have psychological, spiritual, emotional, or personality or mental strengths, and of course, your insights, intuition, inquisitiveness, and other perceptual or conceptual abilities will provide you with great observational, logical, or other deductive or conceptual powers. Because leaders are responsible for communicating, signaling, informing, signifying, and habituating the people, processes, policies, culture, and practices or performances of their organizations, we lead and operate in living ecosystems, environments of social activities, and ecological market niches, industries, and professions, and we must be competent interpreters, readers, and relators of the various signs, symbols, and signals in all those areas and environs. And And of course, as Professor Hoffmeyer says in his paper, The Biology of Signification, um, living creatures are self referential or use a philosophical agency. They have a history or they operate through a moral agency. They react selectively to their surroundings, or they involve themselves in the sociological agency, and they participate in the evolutionary incorporation of the present in the future as if they were operating through a structural agency. When you act out your leadership duties according to a philosophical position or system, you realize and tend to be definitely aware of the intentional purposes, functions, and perspectives for every act and decision that you take as a leader. Because morality, ethics, and legality are learned attitudes which help us develop a sense of honesty, trustworthiness, and integrity in everything that we do, look upon, or consider, the stronger our sense of civilization and deeper our understanding of historical equity and justice, the more likely and better our capability of being moral agents. The wisest, most competent leaders realize their responsibility for developing and strengthening their relationships, collaborations, and communications with every person they work with, regardless, or better yet in a sincere desire to fully appreciate each person's background, customs, and cultural preferences, in spite of that leader's own social norms, traditions, or standing. In a word, if you are unwilling to accept another employee's traditions or preferences, you have no business being their leader. Society, communities, and other many cultures pressure us to keep things the way that those things are. Society does not want us to expand or enlarge our choices. These social forces would also prefer to never change or alter their traditions and customs. However, regardless of the pressures, roadblocks, and rejections put upon leaders by these social forces, the leader absolutely must consider the future. Leaders have to communicate and embrace future possibilities, and leaders are totally responsible for realistically looking at the present and using what they see to get today when creating the desirable future. Of course, you would want to use, employ, or deploy any one or more of your three power elements. I mean your abilities, strengths, or insights, and use them to consider, pursue, and work on any one or more of these three purposes, missions, mandates, or goals. Because every challenge, problem, trouble, difficulty, or opportunity you encounter as a leader will require that you take action on something, that you act with some idea, that you act for some compelling reason, and that you act towards some form of progress or advancement. And that's why leaders act. What we did learn about the model for technology, we learned that it is in applying, developing, and energizing our abilities, insights, and our strengths with information, knowledge, understanding, and wisdom that will make our decisions, investigations, instructions, and influences highly significant, powerful, and creative. Because at the end of the day, our leadership agency is simply a matter of using our capacity to generate and engage in a set of end directed behaviors for every act that we take. So we saw how agency is a unit system of practices, processes, and policies called leadership, which is in itself endowed with the capacity of using the power of its abilities, strengths, talents, and insights to generate, channel, and energize the information based, life sustaining, life replicating, life giving, and life consuming forces within its social environment towards the most productive, significant, creative, and profitable selection of end directed behaviors. This ends today's lesson. And so while you are still looking at this last slide here that describes our legendary leadership power tutorials, and coaching monthly performance support improvement program, I would just like to share with you the two free bonus gifts that we have for you today. And one of which is the 5 leadership uplifter tasks infographic, which you can use daily. All you need to do, it's a PDF document, so just simply download that and print it out. And maybe you might even want to expand the printout so that you can read it readily and quickly. And use that every day as you are going throughout your day as a leader. And you'll find that if you're doing one or more of those 5 tasks in every act that you take, you will probably be able to improve the performance and the inspiration and influence of your leadership, as it regards your employees, etc., and your organization. And the second gift that we have for you is the Words with Wisdom edition, The Rainbow Moment of Black Elk. It's an 8-page PDF document. It contains bits and pieces of what we learned today, and in what we also learned in other episodes of Leadership Power Paradigms. And so I think you'll find that helpful and useful as well. And as you're looking through that, I want to give you an opportunity to, if you look on the right-hand side of the screen, you'll see the very same legendary leadership power tutorials and coaching monthly performance improvement support program, with a little graphic there, and the button that says enroll and get started really just takes you to the page that describes more about this program. And I think you'll find this is a pretty cool thing in itself as well. And as you're looking through that and those items, I want to also run over very quickly and just make sure that, just in case it doesn't show up otherwise, yeah, there are the links again to the 2 free bonus gifts for attending our webinar today, as well as for those of you who are on the replay. And if and when you are on the replay of this webinar episode, simply look on the right-hand side of your screen, and also you will find a little thing that says questions where the chat area normally is, and you can actually type in a question or a comment that you'd like to make about this episode or any other leadership related topic. And if you type that in and press the submit button, it will send an email to me with your question included, as well as your email address, so that I can reply to you by email, and your first name, because that's what you use to register for the replay or for the live session as well. So you can use that, and that way you can get your questions answered as well. And there's obviously no charge for that. And I enjoy answering questions and even speaking with people. If you'd like me to speak to you by phone, um, and you live in North America, just simply, when you type in your question, put in your phone number if you happen to be located in North America. That is, if you're located only in Canada or in the United States, you can include your phone number, and I'll give you a call back as well, and we can discuss maybe your question and other questions that you might have about leadership in depth. That way, you get a lot more from me. And at the same time, if you happen to be located outside of Canada or the United States, then simply type in your Skype ID, and I will call you using Skype, and we can talk that way as well. Okay, and we can even arrange things. And if you use Skype, many times I'll actually upload a some sort of image or some document that might help to further clarify for you your answer to your question, or um, or give you a little more detail about that particular subject of leadership. So sometimes it's better to use Skype instead of your phone number. And with that, everybody knows what Skype has, that Skype has the chat area. It has the ability to upload and download documents as well, and photos and stuff. So, hey, that's a great way of getting a bunch of even more information from me for free. So, anyway, I've been looking at the chat area. I don't see any questions or opinions, so I'm going to jump off at this point in time. And I thank each and every one of you for attending today. I want to say God bless you and Godspeed to you, and the very best of success to you in all of your leadership endeavors. This is Bill Thomas signing off from another episode of Leadership Power Paradigms. Take care.